How would you translate hazing? As in the initiation rituals they do at places that have somewhat strict hierarchies like schools, universities, or the army. The only thing I researched that I found was gauchen. I can't say I've ever heard that verb, and I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that's not it. Because I don't think any German I know has ever heard that word. Let's go back to our little thing here. So, hazing, for those of you who are not familiar in the English-speaking context, hazing is when you initiate somebody into a somewhat exclusive club. It's usually some sort of boys' club. So that will be, like the person said, it's either fraternities or some sort of like sports club or other boys' club, and also the military. Stuff that you put new recruits through. It's basically beating into submission, right? And also making them feel part of the group. That's the whole big thing. It's very interesting sociologically, but I'm going to limit myself to the linguistic part. Okay, hazing. This is a verb, to haze somebody. We do indeed not have a verb, as far as I'm aware, that fulfills this. But apart from such pretty boring and neutral words as der Initiationsritus or die Aufnahmeprüfung, although that sounds a bit too academic to me, but maybe you could say that. So which just means initiation rites and acceptance exam. So like the thing you have to go through before you can enter somewhere, right? These are very like non-specific terms though. We have a nice word that, as far as I'm aware, is usually used for this, called die Feuertaufe, which means fire christening. I think it nicely reflects what this is, right? It's an initiation rite, which christening also is. Christening is basically welcoming a child into the Christian community, right? So there's a lot of more attached to that, of course, of like saving the soul, etc. But sociologically speaking, a christening is giving a child the official papers for being part of a community, that being the religious community, the faith community. Baptism by fire. Oh yeah, right. So I'll add that. That's true. I've heard that before. I feel like I hear it less often than hazing though, which is why that definitely didn't come to mind there. Thanks, King Beauregard. Yeah, baptism by fire. That's exactly what it is. So actually, I want to know now if Feuertaufe or baptism by fire, since it exists in at least these two languages, if this is actually based on something specific. Der Ausdruck Feuertaufe bezeichnet in der Gegenwart eine zu bestehende Bewährungsprobe in einem Ernstfalltest. Früher benannte man mit dieser metaphorischen Redewendung in Anlehnung an den Feuertod von Märtyrern, zunächst im Militärjargon des 19. Jahrhunderts, die erste Teilnahme eines Soldaten an einem Gefecht. So, what this actually means is that originally it referred to a soldier's first battle being his entryway into like becoming a proper soldier. The problem with things like fraternities is, what is the dangerous action that you're going to do as a fraternity bro? Is it going to be your first party where you get not like blackout drunk? Like what is your initiation ritual, right? So that's why they, and of course because they want to be picky and because there needs to be this whole like, ugh. Being in your first battle happens anyway as a soldier, but you might be hazed before that. So you're already part of the community, which is the whole point behind that, right? Hazing, the more brutal a hazing is, the more it tends to bond you to that group. It's basically an artificial trauma bond. It's kind of fucked up. But yeah, that's the whole idea. And I think Feuertaufe is a very like evocative term for it. And apparently it actually comes from like being in a battle and even before that from actually burning at the stake as a martyr. People do such weird things. Anyway, die Feuertaufe. That's the most That's the most likely word I would use that isn't just a boring, neutral Ritus. Is it similar to Teufel, meaning devil? Teufel does mean devil, but it has nothing to do with Feuertaufe. It is true. There's some of the same letters in there, but no, that is not linguistically related. Feuer just means fire, and Taufe means baptism or christening. I am in one, I agree. I heard from one friend who was in a non-Greek life club that he had to beat up a freshman. Yeah, that's the kind of stuff, like, if you want to, like, throw yourself down the stairs of a football stadium or, like, walk through coals or whatever, I still think it's dumb, but go ahead. But doing stuff where you inflict pain on innocence, it's just, that's brain dead to me. It's so fucking stupid. But anyway, that's not the point of the stream. As always, at the end of the episode, I would like to thank everyone who's supporting DFE over on Patreon. Patreon is a way to finance these episodes and to keep me somewhat independent from stuff like sponsors. So thank you so much to everyone who is helping out completely voluntarily. I am, I never get tired of pointing out how amazing I think that is and how honored I am and how well, I don't know. It just feels good, okay? Anyway, you can go over there if you want to support DFE. You can also get a few rewards. Of course, you will end up on this list like everyone who's on there currently, but you'll also get some extra learning materials and stuff, like, for example, my grammar scripts and other things. It's all over there. I wrote it down particularly so I didn't have to keep it all in my head. But anyway, yeah, thank you to everyone. And a special thanks to the second little list that is separated by the extra space, because these are the people who are extra generous and give each episode an extra bump. Go check out DFE's Patreon. It's in the description. Dankeschön.